that the problems seem to be the same all over, regardless of how poor or where they're living or how wealthy or you're in the States. I've seen whenever little films I've seen, and when they're coming and talking to the Baba, it's always the same types of unloading.
Yeah.
Well, why does God have us in the world with all this suffering, and what is this life like this? And
we made our life ourselves. God is just there. He's just looking at our stupid, small little human beings and thinking, my God, why do they destroy our earth? What are they doing? I think we're creating our own suffering.
Yeah, where do you see all of that going right now, with the state of where the world's at right now?
I feel that Mother Earth is starting to complaining, feeling like now this is enough. Now they have, dug into me enough. Now they have done enough. So I think there might be some punishment from Mother Earth, meaning in sense of natural catastrophes.
Do you think that there's a big cleansing coming up like this?
It seems like. It seems like that in a sense. But then I was talking to a friend and I was saying, there's this rumors about 2012.
Right.
And then I was talking to some friend of mine who was a historian. And he was saying that, in the 14th century, that was the same thing then, the people, there were big societies and big communities that believed that this is the end of the world now.
Right. So many centuries seem to be that way.
Yes.
Year 1000, year 500, everyone thought that was the end times.
But it seems in a sense that we are getting less and less and less, we're getting further and further away from the course of being human.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very fantastic, all these computers and all these cameras and all this and all that. But, I was quite fascinated listening the other day to some talk about some tribes, some pygmies living on the Andaman Islands, who, and during the tsunamis, they knew already that this tsunami was coming. Of natural kind of reasons, they knew it. All these machines couldn't tell it. And they moved up to the higher island, and none of them disappeared. And then when it came to the say, for the aid people coming with aeroplanes, they were kind of, we don't need you, we don't need you.
Huh.
To be so self-standing in a simple way as the pygmies must be, one can wonder if that's not the aim of life. What is the aim of all this, I'm wondering too. But then I'm not into technology. If I was into technology, maybe I would see some aim of it all. I really don't.
Yeah. Well,
so the aim of life is like to just be human, I would think. Sure, there is evil too in the world, but the aim should be to try to be good, isn't it? I mean, what is the aim of life these days, with all this technology? I mean, we're part of nature, aren't we? We are natural beings. We should live a natural way of life. Now all these pharmaceuticals, they seem to be the richest people in the world. Provides us with long-lasting pills, long-lasting life pills.
Yeah, it's funny because, I know, there's so many people that are so old here and undocumented. Have you met many people over 100 years old here? Or do you find when people say that they're 100, it's just a type of Indian exaggeration?
No, I'm thinking there was, up to 90. There are people up in my mountains, they are up to 90. But even there, these old generations, they lived a very healthy way of life, So I think they could survive it because they were healthy. These days it's very difficult to survive because we're living such an unhealthy life. We're eating such an unhealthy food. It's so unnatural, isn't it, everything?
I know, like even like G1 Bharti Baba, he told me he was just about 100 years old when I met him in '97. Many, and they're so strong at this age still even.
Yeah.
But then I know sometimes, with numbers, people in India, they sometimes people just I don't know if I want to call it exaggerate, but they just kind of throw out these terms as just a general thing because they don't really keep track anymore of how old they are. Any thoughts on that, just out of curiosity?
No, I really don't think so much about long life.
Yeah.
No, I don't see the point of long life. I know that this is not our only life. So sometimes, even now, sometimes I feel looking out in the world, I'm a bit sort of, this is enough. I'm quite looking forward to see what's next. I am around.
Huh. And then you have to start all over from scratch again, huh?
No, I don't think so. Well, no, I don't think so. I think they say anyhow that you take off from where you left.
And then, do you think that there's some people here that are hundreds of years old still living?
I don't know. I really don't know. I have no idea. I never think of that, of age or such. No, I don't know.
It's nice. You just, you're not. I only ask these things because I know people in the West are curious about things that are extraordinary.
Oh, extraordinary. Yeah, but you see, I'm
you
not at all interested in that.
Yeah, of course.
Not the leastest.
Yeah, I think anyone I've met.
There are, yeah, oh, I see now. Yeah, of course, there are many supernatural powers, but I'm absolutely not interested in that. That sort of tantra, It's like supernatural, it's remarkable people are acquiring supernatural powers, but in order to, you have to have an audience, so to say, if you've got supernatural powers. And then you're sort of living in the world of dualities, and the whole point of this sannyas order is Advaita Vedanta, is non-duality. And to have supernatural powers, you have to be two. Want to show you supernatural powers too. And supernatural powers is still with a frame of mind. It's like mind powers, and it's to go beyond all that, which is the goal. So, and they say that, so that the text says that you go to a stage, you attain a stage when you sort of, if you go on the sadhana of a yogic sadhana, you get to a point when you get strong enough to get supernatural powers. And some stop there, but that's not the stopping point. The point is to pass through that and go to the blissful powers rather than the supernatural powers.
I find it is interesting on occasion to see such remarkable things, Just
yeah, I guess it is.
Just like when going to the circus, that's always fun too.
Yeah, but since that doesn't attract me, I don't search it out. What attracts me is this kind of, as I was telling you before, these meeting points, which is really in silence with the saint, where you meet not in any sort of form of ego, supernatural powers or any hypnosis or anything. You meet in consciousness, you meet in being, in truth. You meet in the moment of just being. And that to me is supernatural powers.
And there's no words necessary, there's no language
there's
necessary.
No word.
Yeah.